to get started with Arrow. You know, Arrow, I said this before, I kind of walked away from Arrow a little bit because it kind of lost its way around the third season, but I'm officially an Arrowhead. And I got to tell you, this one was great. What do we think about, first of all, Dolph Lundgren? Stepping up in here. For those of you who don't know, Dolph Lundgren, he was playing, what was the gentleman's name? I don't have it here in front of me. Konstantin Kovar.
Right, he's Kovar.
Konstantin Kovar. And for those of you who don't remember, Konstantin Kovar was also, Dolph Lundgren. He played the Drago in the Rocky IV movie. His classic line, "I must break you." I mean,
let's not forget he was also He-Man.
He-Man. Oh, yes, he was.
And
the Masters of the Universe. Punisher. The first one. That's
Punisher,
right.
absolutely.
Exactly.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's still looking good. Yeah, so he's like
Interesting.
on Marvel, DC, and just crazy wacko Masters of the Universe movie. That first one.
That's right.
So he's back. He still has that chin. I mean, he's still like, if you punch that chin, you would break your hand. But it was great seeing him in the episode, to seeing him back in the flashback, and now the team is going to a whole different place here. Prometheus on the run, causing all kinds of problems, all kinds of problems with the team, and we're dealing with the team not knowing about the list.
Right.
This became the episode about that list. The list we saw from season 1, the list of names that Oliver had written down of people he wanted to kill. And now somehow the list is in the hands of Prometheus, and it's making the rounds. What do you think about the resurgence of the list coming up again in this episode?
Well, I thought it was a great callback to season 1. And we know that season 5 is really about paying tribute to what's come before on Arrow and what they want to do in the future. So I thought it was great to kind of tie all of that together, all the seasons, with something. And, this Oliver that the new recruits have met is not the Oliver that we met at the beginning of the series 5 years ago. And the fact that they have the flashback component to the show that will end at the end of the season. It was always meant to just be the first 5-season component. It's really tying it all together, and I think it's really interesting. So it was interesting to see how those other characters reacted, and also to see the way Diggle and Felicity sort of they almost like made excuses for Oliver's past behavior.
That's true.
And I thought that was an interesting dynamic, really, to see the way Evelyn, the character of Evelyn, really felt that.
Well, the other thing I thought was interesting is the team seemed to be getting to a point where first they were mad at Oliver. I said it before, he was grumpy old Oliver. And then he seemed to like come around, and I loved last episode, he treated the team with a little respect. And then it was from the team's standpoint, I feel like, okay, you cheated on me, but I took you back, and oh, you got another secret. That's exactly what it felt like to me, because for the most of the team was like, oh, this too, So now I'm kind of concerned about the dynamic and the trust level that the team now has. They went out there, they did their thing, which we'll talk about later. But what do you think about the dynamic now? With there's only one person who's kind of the new team that's kind of okay.
Right.
But the rest of the team, how do you think that's going to affect them and moving forward with Oliver?
I think Oliver just needs to be honest, like just let them know everything, just actually trust your team, because why do you have this team if you're not going to trust them?
That's a lesson he should have learned last season.
Yeah.
Right.
But we're still working towards that, I guess.
There's so much. And there's been so many secrets. I mean, that's really what Oliver runs in. He runs in these world of shadows, And so, I don't know, to reveal to this new team, I mean, hey, let me catch you up on the last 4 years. That's kind of, it's going to come. It's going to come slowly.
I think the kill list specifically isn't something that he needed to have revealed to them. But informing them of what the enemies are and what they're after when it's happening, it's important. Because I think we always know the enemies are one step ahead of you. So you keeping information from your loved ones or the people that are working with you is not going to stop the enemies from hurting them.
Right.
Like there's no reason to do it. And we've learned that in season 1 of every show. Right?
It's true.
Like season 1 of The Flash, they're like, we can't tell Iris to protect her, even though that's literally why she's in danger, because we didn't tell her. And because the man who killed my mother is literally my boss. But I'm not going to tell Iris that. So like, why would you ever do that?
Yeah.
So hopefully from now on, we stop doing that.
Well, I mean, I think Oliver's learning his lesson, but he's got a lot of lessons to learn, so it's going to take some time.
Did anybody else get this? Aside from just being told that there was a secret kill list, the thing that really made me go wow in watching the team react was not just you have this list and you've been doing these murders, but they remember this bad guy from season 1, the Hood, and it was like, Oliver, you we got problems with you, and you yell at us, and you beat us up for no reason, but at least you're not the Hood. You are?
You are not.
So that was interesting to me because I thought that was a given. Maybe it's just because I'm the audience member that I get, but I thought that was a given
the
that
Arrow,
the Hood was the Arrow, was the Green Arrow. Like, I thought we all knew that.
Yeah, they seemed like they didn't.
Which was interesting.
Yeah.
It was an interesting direction
I
to
guess
go
that's
in.
more of the suspension of disbelief situation, right?
Exactly.
Well, I think it's that thing of you wanting to believe that you're working for the good guy, and this other person who was in the news 3 years ago, and before they all started their own little path into vigilantism, that was the guy that was perceived as a bad guy. It's almost like finding out, that the Joker is now Batman.
Right.
And the reaction was interesting to me. So now, a lot of people have been asking about the reporter.
Oh,
The
yes.
reporter,
Susan Williams.
Susan Williams, yes, Susan Williams.
Yeah, what do we think about that relationship and her specifically? Anais, do you have thoughts?
I'm not that into her right now. I hope they don't try to hook up her and Oliver. Like, why? I don't see any purpose.
She wants it.
I
She
was
wants it.
just as annoyed as Oliver because everyone kept calling her his girlfriend. I was like, stop it. And he was telling her, people stop calling her my girlfriend. I'm like, yes, please, why?
From the very beginning, she's been introduced as having an agenda against him, it seems.
Right.
So
But also, she doesn't really want Oliver. She wants Christopher Chance.
Right.
Right? Because the Oliver that she started to like last week was Christopher Chance.
Yeah, but he
pretending to be
said
Oliver.
that was
the way they
you.
made. Yeah,
It was
exactly. They tried to comb over that.
But even if whether she wants to bone him or not, she also wants to bury him. It seems, or she would do it given the first opportunity, right?
Right.
So I don't know.
See, I don't really want them to hook up. I don't want anything going on between them. I think she is an interesting character to have because of she's essentially going to be, it looks like, what ties the flashbacks into what's happening in present day.
Okay. Yes.
So that's a great
that.
movement for that character and for the plot of the show. But as far as them actually becoming a relationship or doing stuff like that, unless it's something that's over a couple of episodes where it's Mayor Oliver Queen and it's really separate from Arrow. But I don't want her to be in the Arrow cave and start to learn
exactly.
know who Diggle is and Felicity.
We don't need everyone to be in the team.
Alfred, who brought her into the Batcave?
And also, it takes away time from what we like on the show, which is Arrow and his team and those characters. And even, with Felicity and him no longer being together and Felicity dating the police officer, they're still a team. They're still tied together. There's still some kind of hope, maybe, for fans, for shippers of Felicity
I'm
and
not
Oliver.
a shipper of that one.
But,
but I mean, we know it's going to happen.
I don't think that
get back to
boyfriend
it.
really destroys anything. I think it doesn't matter. But to have Oliver get into a relationship, I think would be a big,
it's just
twist
an unnecessary detour because we know it's not leading to anything. So I like their banter right now. Like that's fun, and you can keep that. Especially because it's she's flirting with him, but maybe working against him. I love what you said about the flashbacks though, because this is the first season in a while, since maybe season 2, that the flashbacks really feel tied to the story.
Since season 2, it does.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, now speaking of Felicity and her boyfriend detective,
what's his name again?
his name is I have it on here on my thing. Man Detective Dude.
Detective Dude.
Billy Malone,
Billy Malone.
Billy Malone.
Is that right? I just made that up.
I don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure Malone is the last name.
Malone is the last name. But do you know who the actor's father is in real life?
Whoa.
Carl Malone.
No.
I was going with the big nose. Don't leave home without it.
That's John Ritter's son.
Really?
Yep.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. Awesome.
He was,
Very good. Very good job. He's doing.
I mean, it's a thankless part, and there isn't anything for him really to do yet. Unless he's
hiding
Prometheus.
something. Yeah,
Right.
unless he's at the very least he might be hiding something
Yeah,
because he was a little too accepting of Felicity being Felicity working with Arrow. He was like, "Oh, you do? I should be mad about that, but really, I'm excited."
Well, and Adrian Chase was the same way.
Yeah.
So we have them both there as possible Prometheuses, or although I think we know Adrian Chase is going to be something else. But
Well, it's just like Felicity. Once we found out through the anagram to Red Tornado, and Felicity came up with the anagram, got the list, and then Felicity went and stole the evidence of the arrow. They're calling me the throwing star,
throwing stars.
the throwing star killer,
Right.
and she actually went and stole the arrow off as evidence.
The throwing star.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on his
Billy
desk.
Malone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Billy
yeah.
Malone had a throwing star on his desk, and she went and took it. And when she finally, so they could do a little more investigating, and when she told him that, again, like you said, it was a little too, okay, you're looking for arrow, you stole police evidence off my desk, give me some sugar. Bring it over here, bring
Did she give the evidence back to?
I hope she did.
I hope she, we never saw
I don't think
it.
we saw it happen.
Yeah,
but
So
we-
that's
Yeah.
interesting,
Yeah.
leading into
Right.
maybe the next thing we
Yes.
talk about.
Right, right.
we've got a lot of possibilities going on because what we learned this episode is that Prometheus has to have a connection to the Star City Police Department.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then we see Quentin Lance.
With
just,
Quentin
Has a
Lance.
connection
Who
to
has a
the-
connection to
Oh,
Star
he's
City
got it,
Police
yes,
Department.
yes.
Yeah.
And,
drinking in his alone in his apartment or whatever is his house, and he's got the freaking throwing star.
Throwing star there.
Yeah.
Well,
But
Like
he
next to him.
seems as surprised
Yeah.
at seeing the throwing star
Right.
as we, the audience,
Right,
were.
exactly. There's a shot of him at the end. He got cut in that fight, which I
Right.
thought was great, by the way. The fight on the subway train and the old the extraction. Arrow's about the cool extractions. Remember
Yeah,
the extraction was
The
great.
extraction was great. Remember the other one was the Dark Knight sort of one with digital
yes.
extraction. This one
for
parachute
me,
out
that
the hole of the
was-
that was
subway.
awesome.
That was really cool.
As a hardcore Green Arrow fan, going back to the early 1980s
He
as
is.
a child,
Boom.
that's my
Oh, wow.
favorite
For somebody who's like Green Arrow
of all time.
right there.
I own every piece of Green Arrow merchandise that there is.
Dang.
And there wasn't a lot before 4 years ago.
True.
But what's interesting, which was great for me, which was the OMG moment for me in this episode, was the parachute arrow.
Yeah.
He used the parachute,
parachute arrow.
He has trick arrows,
Yes, he
not
does.
just deadly arrows.
Right, and so
in
we
there,
haven't
so
seen
that
as
was
many
great.
of those.
Yeah.
Not as many.
So,
We've seen a
it's great.
couple. We started to see a couple this season of the trick arrows,
Yeah.
but this was the first. Like,
the use of the parachute
just-
arrow,
any
right.
Green Arrow fan knows about the parachute arrow and
The boxing glove arrow.
I mean,
Exactly.
like fight choreography, stunts, everything has been really great this season. So Arrow's really stepping it up in that regard.
Absolutely.
Anais, I just want to know, it's kind of sexist of me to ask, but like, do you ship Olicity? And what do you think is going on with the dynamic there? Like, because like they sort of talked about it being a thankless job, but what do you think about her and her boyfriend?
I'm not really like a shipper, but I think they were good, but I'm okay if they're not together.
Right, and
basically.
that's how I feel. Like I wasn't a shipper of them, but I think that when they were together and happy, like it was easier to move the plot forward because you don't have to focus on angst, right? And they worked well together, and now they're working well together separately. So I'm good either way. I just hope that if the boyfriend is Prometheus, which do we think Billy Malone's Prometheus?
I don't know.
How
Again, going
likely?
back to that shot.
Scale of 1 to 10.
I'm still holding on to the Tommy.
You want it to be Tommy
Tommy
Merlin?
I'm still holding on.
One
to
thing
Tommy
I really
Merlin.
liked about the episode, I don't know if you were gonna talk about it, was well, it's been kind of going on the last few episodes, was Thea and Quentin.
Oh, the, like,
their
father-daughter
relationship.
dynamic?
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's
So
interesting because
much,
you're talking about a guy who lost his daughters. Essentially, Sarah's still alive,
Right.
but she's
Right.
traveling through time.
Right.
And then a girl who essentially lost both of her fathers.
Yeah.
One died, and one became an evil
Evil
maniac.
bad. Evil bad guy, yeah.
Yeah, she's basically. I mean, she is an orphan.
She's
pretty
kind
much
of an orphan, yeah.
Yeah, and she barely has a brother because they're.
Exactly.
So yeah, it makes sense that they're finding family in each other. I
Yeah.
love that. That's
Yeah.
so true.
So it ended with the old war on two fronts
Yeah,
sort of thing.
that's what the promo looks like. I don't now. What are the two fronts that we're talking about here? It's like we've got Prometheus.
We've got Prometheus.
And then is it because he's sort of like framing the arrow
Well, that's
making like other people
That's
not
the-
trust?
That's the thing. Is it a frame-up job? Is it because the thing that really got me was there's a shot. I think we have it here. There's a shot where he's looking. His arm is cut. He's sitting down. He's got the star in his hand.
Right.
And when you look at his face, right there. When you look at his face, I can't read it. I
Right.
can't quite tell. Is that face saying, "Oh my gosh"? How did they get this to me? They must know something. Or is it, what is this and why do I have it?
Right.
You really can't tell, which again, kudos to the people doing the show.
Well, Paul's a really good actor,
Yeah.
so obviously they wanted to keep that
Exactly.
undercover
And
and,
purposely
keep it
ambiguous.
aloof. Yeah,
and he did it. Yeah, you know.
They wanted to keep it vague. Yeah, and it did. I mean, I personally took it as this is the first time I'm seeing this. What is
Really?
going on?
What do you think? First time?
Yeah.
First time?
Yeah, I think it's the first time. I think
time?
we're gonna be led to believe that it's not for a period of time, but we're gonna learn that
Yeah.
it's the first time.
I'm leaning first time too. I'm thinking he may be set up to be the fall guy, or at least a diversion.
Right. Exactly.
You know, he's the,
And they left it vague enough that if they decide that he is the guy later on,
could still
it
work.
wouldn't change it.
Yeah,
it wouldn't
hey.
And then his alcoholism could
Yeah.
come into play in that way too. You know,
Exactly. Yeah,
maybe
watch
he
it.
blacks
What do you-
out or something.
Yeah, what do you think? I want to know if you wonder if he's really, if he knows about it, or was he totally in the dark about it? Chat it up here, because I mean, gosh, we want to know what
Oh,
you
somebody
think.
said Hal Grayson said Green Arrow belongs with Black Canary.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Green Arrow
I
is
agree with
currently
that.
with Black Canary in the Rebirth comics, and it's amazeballs. So if you guys haven't been reading it, go find it now. Benjamin Percy is awesome
I
at
agree.
writing.
I agree.
He is a writer. That is-
I agree with all of that.
Thank you. Okay. So I guess it's time to head on over to Legends, right?
Yeah,
Legends.
To travel
Legends. And
time.
right before we head out of here, we love memes. They're crazy, and we love you guys because you're crazy enough to make them. So check out some of these memes, and we'll be back in a sec.